Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I wanted to introduce you to something new I'm starting for my work planner. I have gone to a bullet journal. Now, I wanted to quickly take you through a little time travel and show you what I have been doing over the years, and you'll see that this actually isn't so unusual. I've actually used something very similar in the past, and I had some issues that I was trying to resolve by switching through different planners, but I think I'm coming back to the bare bones bullet journal. So with that, let me show you where I've come from. So last year, you can see this is 2017, I decided I wanted to do something bullet journal wise, and so I started off in an Erin Condren notebook. You'll see that I had things specific to each day, and then I had a weekly to-do list. This worked okay. I was having issues finding appointments, so then I decided to go to a spread like this, where you can see that I actually drew out the week, and I drew out tasks assigned to each day. I had top 5 projects, I had tasks for the week, and then I had top 3 tasks for each day. Now you'll see there's tasks here, here, over here, and it was a lot, and to be honest with you, what I discovered is drawing lines is the death. I do not like to draw lines, I don't like to grab a ruler out, so that was kind of my pact with myself when I went back to the bullet journal method, is if lines need to be drawn, they can't involve a ruler, because I don't always have a ruler on me, and that gives me one more reason not to do work in my planner. So from this, I decided, well, what I need is an actual weekly spread. So I decided to go to Inkwell Press Planner. So this already had the week drawn out like I was used to seeing. And I can't remember, I want to say it was based on Antonisha Lachey's channel. She used a triangle for events, and so I went to that, and that made it a little easier to see. And I drew a line underneath it because a triangle was still not quite enough for me to see it. That helped. And then you'll see I used check boxes to check things off when tasks were completed. This worked okay. This was actually fairly large. You can see this is actually a very large planner. The rings are big. I'm left-handed, so anything that required writing on this side is a giant pain. Even when you flip it open, these rings are very large, and I'm still like teetering on the edge. So I moved away from this. Thankfully, a lot of these things I got on sale because 2017 was kind of an expensive year. So I've been subscribed to Coco Daisy for quite a while, and I wasn't using the pages, but then they came out with these little Dory-sized notebooks. So then I thought, well, I can do bullet journaling in here. So I set these up, and you know, there's a page for each day. So I'd go through and set this all up, but the problem would be that I only really need 4 days a week. So then I had all of these wasted pages. And again, just kind of a waste of space. So I did this for a couple of months. I really liked the format of it. It was very small though. So then I went from this to what I was just in. So I went to my Vanderspec Touch Me, which more so the daily pages from Coco Daisy that I've been using. So it had a spot for schedule, it had a spot for to-do list, it had a spot for notes. I was thinking, oh, this is exactly what I need, until the last few days when I started running out of room. So it got very frustrating for me, and I decided, you know what, maybe I just need to go back to the simple bullet journaling where I can't run out of room because there is no room to run out of. I just keep writing until I'm done. So that leads us to this bullet journal. Now, I had this planner up on the shelf. It was actually still in its shrink wrap. It's a Luke Thurm 1917 notebook. I bought it, I think, 2016. So I've had it sitting up on the shelf for quite a while. So I basically pulled it open and set it up based on some videos I'd been watching. Now, a lot of people ask me to set things up on camera because I wasn't entirely sure what I was doing, and I was doing it late at night, just sitting on my bed. That's why I don't have like an actual setup video. I might have one of those for you in the future, but this is where we are right now. So this is my bullet journal key. You can see what I'm planning on using as far as indicators go. This list key probably will look familiar because I was using these lists on just regular sheets of paper in the back of my last planner, so I'll show you where those ended up. I've started writing on my index. I have the first few pages, and sneak peek, these are where my tasks ended up. So I'm putting these in from the back. So I have my page letting me know what year we're in. And then I have 4 pages of a future log / at a glance. So each month has its own column. I have holidays that I have off of work squared in a gray pen. These are Tombow brush pen. I'll put the number down below. The green circles are paydays. Since I do payroll for my company, those are important days that I need to remember. And then these are solely work appointments and meetings that I have. Down here at the bottom, I did concede and give myself a space to write down personal appointments that will affect my workday. Usually the DJing is there because I don't go home first. I just go straight from work, which means I hang out at the office a little bit later. So I've only filled in through March, and then April, May, and June, and the rest of the year I'll kind of fill out as I go. Most of the meetings and appointments I have right now are either travel or they are apartment association meetings, so I can fill those in later. Now I did see this on somebody's video and they explained how they used it, and it came from a book that they read. I have not read that book, so I just know how I'm going to be using this. Essentially, these are large items that are going to affect the time that I have to do things. So in the Momentum Planner, it has kind of those big events that they want you to list. That's essentially what this is. It's just more of a visual going across sort of a situation. So like in January is when we do 1099s and I have to make sure I have last year's financials. I am traveling in March for work. I have a couple of short trips in April. I wrote these down in pencil just because I haven't figured out if some of these, well, tax day I have written in pencil. I can actually probably write that in pen, but lease renewals, I'm not sure of the exact timing of that this year, so I went ahead and put that in pencil. August, the apartment association is dark, so that's actually a thing that gives me more time rather than less, which is unusual. Small trip in September, small trip in November. So you can kind of see I'm just starting to fill in like the big rocks, the things that will limit my time. So this next spread is the information for the onboarding project. I have this scribbled out on a piece of paper. If you've watched any of my previous videos, I've shown it to you quite a few times. For now, I've written in the columns for each of the major divisions of the project. I'm going to pull that piece of paper out and then go in and write the sub items underneath there. I did leave a section here for notes, so if I have other tasks that come up that I need to add in here, I can. And then we get into February. Now I did start this yesterday while I was at work because I really wanted something I could just jump into and start working on it. So because February is the next full month and essentially this coming week is when February starts, I didn't worry about doing any sort of a January spread. I am somewhat of a visual person, so I do like having an actual visual calendar where I can transfer this information into a more visual format. And you can see I kind of added a little bit of decorative stickers from the Cocoa Daisy kit, and then I have my to do before I leave list over here, but this is just kind of a more visual representation. And then these are what my daily pages are going to look like. I'm not going to do a weekly spread. Again, drawing lines, not my friend. It limits the amount of space that I have. So essentially I'm just going to put the date and a list of tasks and appointments that I have. I am going to experiment, that's what the sticky note is over here, of doing a column of scheduled tasks and a column of emergent tasks. I'm thinking about that. It's one of those things where it sounds like a good idea, but it might complicate things more than I want it to. So I don't know. I have not decided about that. That's why I have a division line here in pencil and this on a post-it note. We'll see how I feel about it when Monday rolls around. I may just want to go ahead and write things down. So the rest of this is blank. One thing I have learned about this is I do like the dot grid. I think one of the downfalls of my previous planners that I was trying to use is they were all lined, which means that, again, I have to use a ruler if I want any sort of a remotely straight line vertically. So with the dot grid, I can basically just connect the dots. All right, so all the way in the back, I have my task lists. I have the onboarding project because I had a couple of stray tasks that were mixed in with my other things that I wanted to separate out. My work tasks, you can see I'm using these list denotations. You can see I'm using the abbreviations for the lists that are referenced up here in front, so I know which list this is. Again, I also have it at the top, but if I flip the page, I'm going to draw it up here, so I'll always know what list I'm looking at. Very simply numbered, 1 all the way down to however many. Over here on the right, I transferred over the email or paper, so I know where to look for the backup. I did add out here in the right column the due date, if there was a date that something was specifically due, and this was an example of me referencing something from another list. So before I can do this task, I'm waiting for whatever is on this line. So if I go to 239, page 239, number 4, I was waiting for the out-of-pocket expenses. I do need to cross that out, which is why I crossed this out, because it lets me know I've received it already. the Google Forms list, the on-site updates that I need to make, my waiting for list. This was just a random note that was next to my waiting for list. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with it yet. I did leave a blank spot here. I have an agendas list and a space and my someday maybe list. And then my last page is my recurring tasks. So the reason that I left the blank pages in there is because I started from the back working front. So I did my recurring tasks first, then my someday maybe. I didn't know how long this was going to get, so I left a blank page so I could kind of have 2 pages close together. Same thing with my agenda list. I actually had quite a few items that were checked off, so this does actually tend to fill up pretty quickly, so I left a blank page for that. The waiting for list can sometimes get full, but I don't have to have that together quite as much because this is usually referenced on another task. On-site updates and Google Forms, I don't have a lot of those all at once. And then the work tasks, I didn't leave a blank page because I was already pretty much at the front. So that was my thinking behind all of that. Now, previously when I did my video about the whole strike through process, he talks about having a spot to do your task processing. And I really didn't want to have pages just in there for random notes, like things I need to remember before I get a chance to do them. So what I did is I grabbed one of these. I got them in like a 3-pack at Target. They're the Moleskine Kahir, I think that's how you pronounce it, notebooks. It's just essentially a simple line. So this is something I'm just going to have out on my desk, and if somebody comes in and says, hey, can you, if it's not something that I want to throw on today, if I know it's something I need to do at a different time, I'm just going to write it here. And then from there I can take a look at that and come back and put it on one of these lists. Obviously, if it's something I need to do that day, then I'm just gonna put it on my daily list. So this is just kind of like an inbox for things that I need to write down because I don't want to forget it, but I don't have time to process it at that time. So if you remember, I had a pad of paper that was just tucked in the back. This is essentially doing the same thing. It's just a spot for me to make a quick note. Now, if I'm in a meeting and I need to make myself a note, I am going to probably just keep meeting notes in with that day. And that's mainly because normally when I'm writing notes, I'm writing on the agenda of whatever meeting I'm on. If I'm writing a note elsewhere, it's because it's something I need to do or something I need to talk with somebody about. It's a to-do. It's not just like a, hey, I'm taking notes about the things that were talked about. Thankfully, I don't take minutes anymore for any meetings that I go to, so I don't have to worry about that. If I did, I still wouldn't do that in here because that's not something I will necessarily personally need to reference later on. That's actually just for whatever organization I was taking notes for. So that's how my bullet journal is set up right now. I'm just keeping this tucked in the back and all the way out to the edge. It does add a little bit of bulk, but it doesn't really bother me too much. And the other thing, these tabs come from Cocoa Daisy, so I figured as I get them, I would go ahead and just attach them to each month's spread so I can quickly have tabs that have each month on them, so if I need to go back and look at something, I can. So that's why those are there. These may not progress forward in my next notebook, but I figured for now I would go ahead and keep them in there. So anyway, that's how this is set up. I am going to have a video coming up that's a plan as I go, and I'm starting that, I believe, tomorrow. So you will actually see me using this, my normal everyday carry planner, and anything else that I'm using on a daily basis. You'll actually see how I'm planning things out. It's actually a combination of a bunch of different things. One, it's a collaborative video I'm doing with Antonisha Lachey, so she's going to be doing something similar. So you'll actually have a couple of different views of how different people plan their days out, and it's going to be part 3 of my GTD series, Do. So you had the first 3 parts of the GTD method that I did in one video, collect, process, and organize. I'm going to do a review video, and then I'm going to have this plan as you go, which will be a Do video. So you'll actually have the GTD method from start to finish here very shortly. I hope you enjoyed this video and a peek into how I used to plan and kind of how I've gotten to the bullet journal and why I've decided that I think this is going to work for me now. And I'll go ahead and keep you updated, obviously, on how this works out. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, and I would appreciate subscribing to my channel if you're interested in seeing more videos like these. I am trying to beat the YouTube imposed ticking clock of 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. I'm actually very close on the subscriber count in the general scheme of things, and also my watch counts. So I would appreciate you subscribing to my channel. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and I will be happy to answer them for you. Same thing if you have any videos that you would be interested in seeing me record. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.